Indeed, Altai it is. The Chinese will make an appearance in the hands of Puppypaw. Vortix is going to be sticking with the ruse, and as you pointed out, these two players have met in the June monthly finals, a set which was led by 3-0 by Puppypaw. Then Vortix came in, won 3 in a row, made it 3-3, and then in the final game, Puppypaw was able to secure the victory, and with that, his participation on the Heidelberg LAN. So that last game, after what seemed like it was gonna be a sweep, then Vortix made a comeback, the last game secured a spot for Puppypaw, and part of the reason why Vortix is still in here playing is because he still needs to get himself a ticket to Heidelberg. Let's see if once again he's gonna be able to at least get back to even ground and force a game number 5 out of this best of 5.
The crazy part of the thing is, like, Puppypaw hasn't really even laid it all out so far. Like, I'm thinking of other civs that he could choose, and one that clearly comes to mind is the fact that, like, Abassids is still kind of his ace of the spades, right? Like, I think it's, for those that are unaware, like, he owns the David Kim account, and he was one of the most avid Abassid spammers. I think he's really kind of trying to milk Vortix now. A lot of the strong choices being taken out, and in some ways, the Chinese are a little bit of a gamble. I've seen Puppypaw pull out the Civ before, and sometimes he'll go in for an all-in kind of cheesy Barbican type play, or just try and go for the eco boom. He does like to use this Civ as kind of a coin flip, specifically on Altai and competitive.
Indeed, it's a coin flip, but it also is something that gives you tremendous versatility, because this is a more defendable map. If your opponent is playing passive, you have the chance to play passive. You have the chance to boom on 2TC simultaneously, drag out the game, play a long one. Or if your opponent is playing aggressive, you still have a lot of safe resources at the back usually that you can protect with some walls. And then using the Chinese ability to supervise production buildings, match their numbers and buffer up progression. So you really get the feel that the versatility of the Chinese comes into play here a lot on this map. And it is going to be great to match the versatility that the Rus possesses as well.
Yeah, and well, speaking of the Rus, they're trying to get the goodies, but Puppypaw's not going to give over free. Interesting choice here, but you kind of have to make this when you're the Chinese. He didn't go for the second scout. It's really difficult with this Civ because you need the Imperial official as quickly as possible. Does mean that Vortix should be able to flow upwards of probably 300 bounty. I know Altai is a little bit more orderly, so it is a bit harder to get high bounty. But when you're in a 1 versus 3 scout situation, it should just turn to full cruise mode and upwards of 300.
Yeah, you kind of need every single bit of sheep that you can get, every single bit of wolf that you can get, because keep in mind that one of the deer patches to work with for each player is a small deer patch, the other one is right next to the starting TC, which means that the small deer patch it's only going to amount for 30 bounty, and the other deer patch, the big one of your opponents, is right next to his TC, so he's likely going to get that denied from you. So you won't be getting that much bounty from the deer themselves, so the importance of the wolves and even the importance of the sheep are inflated as compared to, let's say, Dry Arabia.
And the end of it, Vortix, like we said, definitely going to be over that 300 mark. The curious part is whether he's going to go for the ball play. I think this is dangerous in this matchup. It's kind of weird, but the Chinese are decent at contesting this. And I think the timing you're looking at, with the Imperial Academy already being built up, around 4.5 minutes, if Puppypaw scouts, he might just move a few villages out and rush up an outpost to block out that ball from Vortix.
I could even see him going for the Barbican himself to try and contest that board. The other board is on the southern part of the map, that's the safe one for Vortix to grab, but if he also wants to go for a forward base, it has to be the one in between the two players. Let's see if he plans to move out, because he's going up to the Golden Gate, so we shall soon receive an answer as to whether he's moving out for a board on the right side, which would be somewhat unlikely, or whether he's moving towards the board that's closer to the base of Puppypaw.
I love how there's kind of this 50-50 split. I think it's become a little bit more deviated towards the deer, though, like, between Chinese players that go for berries or go for deer on Altai. The logic is that with deer, you gather up to 25, so you generate less tax. So it's kind of like an argument of whether the deer gathering rates exceeding the berries and the sheep is better. It seems like Puppypaw usually goes to the deer from what I've seen, but I would say the variance comes down to if you get a lot of sheep. If you get a lot of sheep, you may be justified in going for sheep first and just generating more tax.
Yeah, it looks like he kind of split up some of the villagers for the deer at least. I think he has some on sheep as well. It's a little difficult to tell from the carcasses, but he probably does both at the same time. He's gonna have the getter rate from the deer, and also he's gonna have a decent tax income from the sheep.
I feel like I'm scammed in a restaurant here. I came for the venison and got served the lamb.
Oh yeah, I came for the chicken and I was served cat.
Well, it's a little bit less chewy than dog, I guess, you know. But
here comes the Barbican, though.
Yeah, this is what I was waiting for. Like, he's been accruing the resources, he's making the march out. Now, keep in mind that when you make this march, you do so without wheelbarrow, so Vortix should have an edge. However, if you look at the ball placement, it's closer to the Chinese. It looks like Vortix won't be able to stop this.
Yeah, and the Barbican is gonna go up. The scouts won't be there to block it. That was the chance for Vortix. If he blocks the placement, buys himself some time, it's a different story. He could aggro the board though. I think the range will be just enough to reach the villagers. This could be big.
Oh, Puppypaw. I mean, he's committed. The conviction on this man. The scout gets sniped. Puppypaw! Oh my goodness. The ball, the panic. A second villager now target. He's going to peel him back. He's committed though. He needs to finish this Barbican.
Oh no.
It might cost him a few villagers.
You're seeing a few. The villagers are trapped out there.
He's trapped. Oh, the ball. The ball is turning against everyone right now. God damn, he's hungry.
Oh my goodness, it's so difficult to follow in the shadows of that forest. Villagers and scouts both being eaten by the boar. The scout goes down, villager falls as well. Oh, he's chasing the scout, coming back though.
He's gonna finish it. He's actually gonna finish it. Oh my god, this is 10 awkward. The body blocks. He pushes him away, and now the boar aggro comes in again.
He's gonna finish it the next batch of villagers, but what's the price he's paying? So many low HP vills. Barbican finally goes up, raise it. It should go up. Price is gonna be high, but it goes up.
Please! Please! He's gonna get it.
Buys the dust.
Oh, he gets a garrison just in time. So the board's going to be claimed, but look at the eco difference. It's only a 2-point lead. Puppypaw with a lot of injuries, but keep in mind he just unlocked Song Dynasty, so he can now recover the loss.
Yeah, this is going to be helpful for Vortix in the future if he dives in with one knight, because many of those villagers are heavily damaged. So it could be useful later on. And remember, the boar is still out there running circles around the enemy, and I mean, at this point, Puppypaw might just give up on this. Initially, I thought he was gonna take the boar for himself, but given how much damage he has taken, how many villagers he has injured, he might just give up on the boar. And on the other side, Vortix behind this one is playing 2TC, working his way towards the boar on the right side instead.
And he should get it for free. You can see archer range coming up. I like this play from Puppypaw. This is actually why I rate the Chinese fairly well against the Rus. Like, we're still seeing people kind of find issues optimizing the timings. But Shuge Nu stomp on pretty much everything the Rus want to do up to castle, right? Like, other than knights, but knights can easily be like countered by spears. Sort of. I know people find that very controversial. But the Shuge Nu is the more important detail. You beat out the archery mass, and that's really what the Rus aim for when they go long feudal. Even if they rush up into Castle Age, you don't want to build horse archers against Shuge Nu. This is what's cool about the Song Dynasty build for the Chinese, is you basically block everything your opponent wants to do.
Yeah, and as you point out, the Shuge Nu is a dangerous threat, especially because it's hard to detect that it's coming at your way, because you lose track of the enemy base for a brief moment, and with the supervise, 20 Shuge Nu pop out of 2 bad archer ranges. So really, the build-up is so rapid using the supervise that if you lose track of what your opponent is doing, what your Chinese opponent is doing, you could easily be surprised with a huge force of Shuge Nu right next to your base.
I think the build-up the Chinese is getting a little bit more feisty because the reliance on the Imperial Academy is the first choice these days. You're seeing the impact this has. Like, Puppypaw is up to 3 Imperial officials, hasn't sacrificed any villager production. Did also go for that second TC. Don't mistake these numbers. Vortix doesn't match this. Like, it's Song Dynasty versus non-Song Dynasty, which means you're actually talking about 2 TC versus 3, as despite the fact that it says it's a 35% production decrease, I think the maths works out at something like 43% increase in villager production for the Chinese per TC.
Indeed, and you should be able to offset that eco deficit. We have seen that Puppypaw lost a handful of villagers, had a ton of idle time as well, but all of that essentially is negated by the fact that Puppypaw is now on 2 TCs in Song Dynasty. Also starting to add some Shuge Nu, because one thing that Vortix does not have is army, and with Hardened Spearman also coming in here for Puppypaw, you see that this is not only just to, you know, harass that little scout that's annoying, it's out here to do some damage with. On the other hand though, Vortix on the way to Castle Age with the Abbey.
Zoom Zoom making his way out quick, and the relic layout means he could easily grab 4 in this game. In the meantime, Puppypaw is of course escalating the Shuge Nu count. Now the key detail for Vortix is when you open up here in Castle Age, I do not want to see horse archers. I think that is an ugly way to go. There are so many options. I actually think man-at-arms is impressive to start off the Age here, and then switch into knights once Puppypaw stops pushing spears.
I agree on that one, especially because to a certain extent you have to respect your opponent's ability to add the Chukunu. So Man-at-Arms could probably be a better way to open this one, but instead, triple archer ranges feels like we're gonna see some old school Rus here. It is in all certainty going to be horse archers, but that is something that PuppyPaw has to be happy about because the Chukunu will essentially hard counter that in such close quarters engagements.
One point of variance I will give to Vortix. Him and his bro were leading the way with back in the Pew Pew Pony meta, is they were like one of very few players. I think they're the only players in top 8 to consistently do this. They get the unique techs in the Abbey Trinity. Those unique techs are important because the damage buff as well as the armor increase could actually be the difference maker that screws over Chuge Nu. I still don't like the Horse Archer choice, but if there's a player that can get away with it, considering the builds they've done with the Rus, I think it is Vortix.
The thing is that with the horse archers, it takes some time to build up your forces. 2 or 3 horse archers won't be doing much. So you're basically giving time to PuppyPaw to react to this one. He knows you're up in castle, horse archers are coming, but before you could do tremendous damage, PuppyPaw is gonna be notified of this. He can hold off the first few horse archers with Chukunu or even walls, and then he's gonna be able to get to Castle Age himself. So the horse archers, it to a certain extent limits your damage potential here in early castle.
And this wall timing is looking pretty decent. It's going to push him towards the choke point, but the Barbican and the spears are in range, so Vortix shouldn't be able to reach in. Wall should be complete. You can see he's going north side as well. PuppyPaw just doing what the Chinese always do on this map and playing super condensed.
Yeah, love to see that defensive gameplay from him. Chinese obviously take some time to kick in, and this is an interesting talking point, because if you take a look at the win rates, obviously competitive ladder it is, so not necessarily completely relevant, but still, Diamond Plus, you will see that the Rus, they start falling off with their win rate beyond the 20-minute mark. That's essentially the threshold from which they start dropping, and they never really recover. If you take a look at the Chinese, they come online after 20 minutes, so their win rate starts to increase and then stays high for the rest of the game. So this is the timing that PuppyPaw is playing for. Slow defensive game, because he knows that if this game goes beyond approximately that 20-minute mark, he on paper should have the advantage.
Hey, it makes sense with the tech up coming out as well. The other cool thing you access is Palscar. Palscar actually raid pretty well, even in comparison to the Horse Archers, and aren't easily dented into. I think this is where Vortix really needs to kind of get a second layer. Because you're now facing a quick castle up timing, don't think Man-at-Arms work for him anymore. Probably has to be the Knights coming out, but I think Vortix is likely to show hesitation due to the fact he's already seen some spears guarding PuppyPaw's base.
Indeed, there are some spears guarding PuppyPaw's base, although it's only 2 of them, so it's not like we are seeing quite a lot of those. Most of the units PuppyPaw has are Chukunu, which will deal with the Horse Archers. 2 Warrior Monks out there as well, being active collecting relics, but as you said, Vortix is one of those players who also loves to grab the upgrades on the Abbey of the Trinity, so we could see them as combatants rather soon.
Uh-oh. Knock, knock. Horse Archers moving in. Chukunu are outnumbered, and PuppyPaw hasn't got the upgrade yet, so he's going to back away. Problem is, you back away so slowly, you're taking bad exchanges. Forces him to commit. Actually, not a bad turnaround there. You still lose a few more Chuge Nu, but you're slowing down the Horse Archers, and once that tech up comes out, in conjunction with the Nest of Bees, I think Vortix is going to be forced to retreat entirely.
Indeed, for the time being, Vortix is going to be repelled. There is the upgrade, yeah. On the bottom left, you can see the unique upgrade coming in for the Rus from the Abbey of the Trinity. One of the more underappreciated elements, really, of that landmark, being able to boost your army with the Prelates, or, well, the Warrior Monks, rather. If you get all those upgrades and you can get some nice hits with your Warrior Monks, your army is going to be buffed up to the skies when it comes to power.
I legit think Saints Reach is the best buff, like the best research you can get out of that Abbey of Trinity. It's so important because otherwise you just don't buff your whole army, especially if you're running a Horse Archer comp. Like, your Monk's going to be so far away, you buff no one. And oh, you need that buff soon. Nest of Bees coming out. That's problematic. You can see in the choke point, the scouts can't make their way around. Vortix just taking a bad exchange, will be forced away. Love the play into scouts, but this is really starting to feel like outdated Age of Empires 4.
Indeed it is. He tried to snap down that Nest of Bees with the scouts, but the choke point usage was perfect by PuppyPaw. He also had villagers ready to repair the Nest of Bees, and as you said, it feels a little outdated, especially on such a slow-paced map like Altai. If this was Dry Arabia, if this was Lipany, you could justify the high mobility Horse Archers a little bit more, but we're essentially fighting in tight quarters in between those 2 ridges. And in here, you simply can't use the mobility advantage that you have from the Horse Archers, and in direct engagements, PuppyPaw is going to win with the Chukun and the Nest of Bees. Forward Siege Workshops and a forward Keep Drop coming in here from Vortix, though. He wants to finish this game fast.
he has to finish this game fast. He's too deep now, right? It's the Chinese. They're going to start escalating very quickly economically at this stage. So he actually has to end the game in about the next 5 to 8 minutes before Full Power's realized. The problem is Full Power's already realized. The Chuge Nu mass is up to 27. If you're relying on Saint's Blessing to turn this fight, I've got bad news for you. Those Warrior Monks aren't going to even be able to touch anyone. They're going to get blitzed down instantly by this massive repeater crossbows.
And yeah, that's the thing, right? And when you have so many horse archers for tight quarters, it's also difficult to pathfind your way with your warrior monks to get that hit in, and as long as you don't have that hit, those upgrades that you have just gotten on the Abbey of the Trinity will do nothing. But once you have that hit in, that's where it starts swinging the battle in your favor. But as you said, so many Chuge Nu that it is rather easy for PuppyPaw to focus down those warrior monks before they could do much.
And now the Siege Workshops next to the keep, a standardized play at the moment. Concern is whether it's going to be quick enough. Like, this crawl up into Trebuchets is going to need dangerous. I think he needs Mangonels to turn this around. It's the only way I can see him getting through the Chuge Nu. The Chuge Nu, the timing on this might be perfect to wipe out the villages. It's going to be forced to fight. March in, Nesta Beast, splash damage coming out. A few spears to keep the scouts at bay, and that's going to be a problem. I don't know if he can build quick enough. Nesta Beast, shots coming out. Spread looking good, pushing Chuge Nu, countering out up against the Horse Archers. The keep is going to go up successfully. And it looks like PuppyPaw is going to have to back away.
Yeah, the keep goes up. The price to pay is pretty high over here. Quite a lot of horse archers giving their lives away for this one. Few villagers fell as well. The concern here for Vortix is that his cost is already being trapped, I think.
I think the issue Wait, what? No, there's no traps. No, it's chill.
It's the Barbican. It looks weird.
Yeah, I know. Those changing angles, I was like, are you sure you're, Yeah, of course.
No, like the projectile flying from the Barbican, it looks weird.
Yeah, I mean, the new Treb, like, angle looks weird altogether, but
yeah,
if you want to see Trebs, you're going to see them in a different way. Like, it's actually going to come out on both sides. It's not just Vortix going for them. PuppyPaw realizes he needs to breach this defense. I gotta say, Vortix, like, this is step one, but there's a long road to recovery. I still feel like PuppyPaw is in full control of this game right now.
Yeah, it's got a respectable eco lead of 30, some of that being offset by the 4 relics Vortix has. Vortix has piled up enough stone to be able to drop a second castle in a minute or so, and I would think that that is exactly going to be the plan. Tries to get rid of the Barbican, get through the walls, and then go for a super aggro castle, because one thing he's trying to accomplish here is suffocate PuppyPaw when it comes to gold control. PuppyPaw's secondary gold here is already taken by this castle, and his primary gold could also be denied. So PuppyPaw, he can't afford to let a second castle happen, but it's gonna be a difficult fight for him ahead of him, because there is a Mangonel now being added into the mix.
Oh lordy, more than that, look at the scout count. It's amassing. PuppyPaw needs more Nesta Bees. I don't think he even realizes it yet. He's gonna push in towards the keep, trying to force a fight. Chuge Nu moving in, trying to bait the Horse Archers into taking the exchange, but paranoid about the Nesta Bees for good reason. And that's the thing to consider, like, the Springles need to be there first. I love that Vortix stopped off for this, but he is up against Clock Tower Nesta Bees. These things do not die quick. If anything, you need 3 to 4 Springles to feel safe.
And you also gotta be careful over here not to overextend. Nesta Beast getting a beautiful volley out there on the Horse Archers, and here comes the
wall
push.
Break. Straight away, chasing out. He wants that fight. The Mangonels, he knows. PuppyPaw senses what's coming. He dodges death here.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he had vision on those Mangonels because of the forest, but as you said, he dodged the bullet right there. Mangonel fire would have wiped out his entire army. He sensed that there was going to be something happening beyond that forest, and indeed, look at that. He had no vision beyond the forest. He blindly assumed that there was gonna be Mangonels, and he gets away with one over here because that could have been a disaster, but then again... Oh my god!
See that floating horseman. Oh, no! Oh! Chuge Nu, I mean, he's living life on the edge. He knows the Mangonels are there, confirmed 100% now. Needs to chill. PuppyPaw is transitioning, though. You saw the horseman gliding out, looking pretty dank with his spear, the way he was floating. There are more where that came from. And these horsemen could come in clutch because Vortix has 0 counters to cavalry right now.
Oh yeah, Vortix has 0 counters out there, and if you snipe down the Springles, it's sufficient for PuppyPaw to just have the anti-siege advantage and then have his own Springles snipe down the Mangonels. It's still a difficult spot for him to be in, but as you said, he's got the eco advantage and he's got the positional advantage, so it is Vortix that needs to make something happen over here, and he wants to do that right now. Here come the scouts. Also the Springles pushing up here to take down the trap.
Chuge Nu moving in. Scouts hesitant to engage for good reason. Nobody wants to be sent to an early grave so quickly as you will by these repeated crossbows. A few horsemen marching in very ambitiously. The staggered formation coming out as PuppyPaw needs to pursue in this fight. Needs to be splash attacks coming out. Mangonel's being targeted out. One already down. I love the focus fire here. The Chuge new damage is too high. Instantly gets rid of the counter. And now with 36 crossbowmen, he's ready to stand his ground. The repeated crossbows, in fact, able to wipe out the front line. And the horse archers looking like they might get a reasonable exchange, but not for long. Second wave of horsemen coming in. Chuge new stabilizing. Vortix has to back up and reset.
Such a beautiful micro there by PuppyPaw, dodging all the shots from the Mangonels, then closing distance, taking down the Mangonels with the Chukanu. The balls on this guy are unbelievable. He was playing with fire over there, but he dodges the shots, gets down the Mangonels, and then he takes a spectacular engagement, despite the fact that Vortix even had the Saint's Blessing to help him. What a wonderful fight it was for PuppyPaw. Lives to see another day, and his army stands stronger than ever.
It's not the balls on this man, it's the bolts on this man. Chuge Nu are a ranged unit. Yes, the armor is high on these siege weapons, but you do 3 times the damage any other ranged unit would in this situation, courtesy of the fact damage can only be reduced down to 1, and you're attacking 3 times. Now, the attacks come the other way though. Mangonels, it looks like a throwaway. PuppyPaw gets too confident. He throws away the entire army, and now he's back down to 0.
Once again, the Mangonels from behind the forest. PuppyPaw couldn't have seen them. Wow. He gets his army wiped out, and Vortix takes game number 3. A single volley of Mangonels changes the fate of this game, changes the outcome of this one. Such a good job by PuppyPaw to dodge the Mangonel fire until that last 20 seconds. That drop in the military that Vodka is about to show us in the graph is going to tell you the story of how this game ended.
I am perplexed right now. PuppyPaw, he was so on the mark. He had the right read initially, but it almost feels like he blue-balled himself here. Got a little bit too confident, a little bit cocky. He pushes out before he gets the horseman required to close out this game. I think PuppyPaw was feeling like he wanted a quick end to this series, a quick end to the evening, and as a result, he offers up an opportunity to recover. Vortix finally getting a point on the board. Could not wait any longer to do so. And I cannot wait to see if we are going to be going the distance now, because this is following the script. Not a best of 7 like those monthlies, no, but a reverse sweep opportunity now beginning as Vortix finally